As they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it and broke it and gave it to the disciples and said, "Take, eat, this is my body." And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, "Drink ye all of it, for this is my blood of the new covenant, which is shed for many for the forgiveness of sins. But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of the fruit of the vine until the day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom." And when they had sung a hymn, they went out into the Mount of Olives. And then said Jesus unto them, "All you shall be made to stumble because of me this night. For it is written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered. But after I am risen again, I will go before you into Galilee." Peter answered and said unto him, "Though all men should be made to stumble because of you, yet I will never be made to stumble." Jesus said unto him, "Truly I say unto you, that this night, before the rooster crows, you shall deny me 3 times. Peter said to him, "Though I should die with you, yet I will not deny you." Likewise said also all the disciples. And then came Jesus with them unto the place called Gethsemane, and said unto the disciples, "Sit here, while I go and pray over there." And he took with him Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. Then he said to them, "My soul is exceeding sorrowful unto death. My soul is exceeding sorrowful unto death. You wait here and watch with me." And he went a little farther and fell on his face and prayed, saying, "O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will." And he came unto the disciples, bless these words, and found them asleep. And he came unto the disciples, and found them asleep, and saith unto Peter, "What? Could you not watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray, that you do not enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." He went away again the second time, and prayed, saying, "O my Father, if this cup may not pass away, except I drink it, thy will be done." And he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. And he left them, and went away again, and prayed the 3rd time, saying the same words. Then he came to the disciples, and said to them, "Sleep on now, and take your rest. Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. Behold, he is at hand that does betray me." And while he yet spoke, came Judas, one of the 12, came, and with him a great crowd with swords and clubs, from the chief priests and elders of the people. Now he that betrayed him gave them a sign, saying, "Whosoever I shall kiss, that same is he." Now he that betrayed him gave them a sign, saying, "Whosoever I shall kiss, that same is he. Hold him fast." And right away he came to Jesus and said, "Hail, Master," and kissed him. And Jesus said unto him, "Friend, From where have you come?" And then they came and laid their hands on Jesus and took him. And behold, one of them, which was with Jesus, stretched out his hand and drew his sword and struck a servant of the high priest and cut off his ear. Then said Jesus unto him, "Put up again your sword into its sheath, for all those that take the sword shall die with the sword. Do you not think now that I cannot pray my Father, and he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of angels? But now, how then shall the scripture be fulfilled, that it must be this way?" In that same hour, Jesus said to the crowds, "Have you come out as against a thief with swords and clubs to take me? I sat daily with you, teaching in the temple, and you laid no hold on me. But all this was done, that the scriptures of the prophets might be fulfilled." Then all the disciples forsook him and fled. And they laid hold on Jesus and led him away to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and the elders were assembled. But Peter followed him afar off unto the high priest's palace, and went in and sat with the servants to see the end. Now the chief priests and the elders and all the council sought false witness against Jesus to put him to death, but found none. Yea, though many false witnesses came, yet they found none. At the last there came 2 false witnesses, and said, "This fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of God, and to build it in 3 days. And the high priest arose and said unto him, Do you answer nothing? What it is these testify against you? But Jesus held his peace. And the high priest answered and said to him, I charge you by the living God, that you tell us whether you are the Christ, the Son of God. Jesus said to him, You have said. Nevertheless, I say unto you, after this shall you see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power, and coming in the clouds of heaven. Then the high priest ripped his clothes, saying, He has spoken blasphemy. What further need do we have of witnesses? Behold, now you've heard the blasphemy. And what think ye? And they answered and said, He is guilty of death. What think ye? And they answered and said, He is guilty of death. And then they did spit in his face, and buffeted him. And others struck him with the palms of their hands, saying, Prophesy unto us, you Christ. Who is he that struck you? Now Peter sat without in the palace, and a little girl came to him, saying, You also were with Jesus of Galilee. But he denied before them all, saying, I know not what you say. And when he had gone out into the porch, another little girl saw him, and said to them that were there, This fellow also was with Jesus of Nazareth. And again he denied with an oath. Again he denied with an oath, saying, I know not the man. And after a while came unto him they that stood by, and said to Peter, Surely you are one of them, for your speech betrays you. And then he began to curse and to swear, saying, I know not the man. And immediately the rooster crowed. And Peter remembered the word of Jesus, which he said to him, Before the rooster crows, you shall deny me 3 times. And he went out and wept bitterly. When the morning had come, all the chief priests and the elders of the people took counsel against Jesus to put him to death. And when they had bound him, they led him away and delivered him to Pontius Pilate, the governor. Then Judas, which had betrayed him, when he saw that he was condemned, repented himself, and brought again the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and the elders, saying, I have sinned, and that I have betrayed the innocent blood. And they said, what is that to us? You see to that. And he cast down the pieces of silver into the temple, and departed, and went out and hung himself. And the chief priests took the silver pieces, and said, it is not lawful for us to put them into the treasury, because it is the price of blood. And they took counsel, and bought with them the potter's field, to bury strangers in. Wherefore that field is called the field of blood unto this day. Then was fulfilled that which was written by Jeremiah the prophet, saying, they took 30 pieces of silver, the price of him that was valued, whom they of the children of Israel did value, and gave them for the potter's field. And the Lord appointed me. And Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, saying, are you the king of the Jews? And Jesus said to him, you say it. And when he accused the chief priests and elders, he answered nothing. Then said Pilate unto him, what you talking about, Brett? Do you not hear how many things they testify against you? And he answered him never a word, insomuch that the governor marveled greatly. Now at the feast the governor wanted to release to the people a prisoner whom they would. And they had a notable prisoner called Barabbas. Therefore, when they were gathered together, Pilate said unto them, will ye that I release unto you Barabbas or Jesus, which is called Christ? For he knew that because of envy they had delivered him unto them. And when he had sat down on the judgment seat, his wife sent unto him, saying, have nothing to do with that just man, for I have suffered many things this day in a dream because of him.
No pizza?
But the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowds that they should ask Barabbas and destroy Jesus. The governor answered and said to them, which of the two do you want that I release unto you? And they said, Barabbas. Pilate said unto them, what should I do then with Jesus, which is called Christ? And they all said unto him, let him be crucified. And the governor said, why? What evil has he done? But they cried out the more, saying, let him be crucified. When Pilate saw that he could prevail nothing, but that rather a riot was made, he took water and washed his hands before the crowd, saying, I am innocent of the blood of this just person. You see to it. And they answered all the people and said, his blood be upon us and upon our children. When Pilate saw that he could prevail nothing, but that rather a riot was made, he took water and washed his hands before the crowds, saying, I am innocent of the blood of this just person. You see to it. Then answered all the people and said, his blood be upon us and on our children. And then he released Barabbas unto them. And when he had beaten Jesus, he delivered him to be crucified. And when Pilate saw that he could prevail nothing, but that rather a riot was made, then he released Barabbas unto them. Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the common hall and gathered unto him the whole crowd of soldiers. And they stripped him and put on him a scarlet robe. And when they had twisted a crown of thorns, they put it upon his head and put a reed in his right hand. And they bowed the knee before him and mocked him, saying, Hail, King of the Jews! And they spit upon him. And they took the reed and struck him on the head. And after that they had mocked him, they took off the robe from him and put on his own clothing on him and led him away to crucify him. And there came out, they found a man of Cyrene, Simon by name. He was compelled to carry his cross. And when they had come to the place called Golgotha, that is to say, the place of a skull, they gave him vinegar to drink mixed with gall. And when he had tasted of it, he would not drink. And they crucified him and divided his clothing, casting lots, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet. They divided my clothing among them, and upon my vesture did they cast lots. And sitting down, they watched him there, and set over his head his accusation written, This is Jesus, the King of the Jews. Then there were two thieves crucified with him, one on the right hand, and the other on the left. And those that passed by reviled him, wagging their heads, and saying, You that destroy the temple, and build it in 3 days, save yourself. If you are the Son of God, come down from the cross. Likewise also the chief priests, mocking him, and with the scribes and the elders said, He saved others, himself he cannot save. If he is the King of Israel, let him now come down from the cross, and we will believe him. He trusted in God. Let him deliver him now, if he will have him. For he said, I am the Son of God. The thieves also which were crucified with him cast the same in his teeth. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness over all the land unto the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That is to say, my God, why have you forsaken me?
Is that the Quran?
Some of them that stood there, it's the Bible, when they heard that said, This man calls for Elijah. And right away, one of them ran and took a sponge and filled it with vinegar and put it on a reed and gave him to drink. And the rest said, Let be, let us see whether Elijah will come to save him. And Jesus, when he had cried again with a loud voice, gave up the spirit. And behold, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from the top to the bottom. And the earth did quake, and the rocks broke,